We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Morgan McGarvey joining city and state leaders this morning, reading the Declaration of Independence to start the 4th of July holiday. Thank you for joining us here at noon. I'm Jim Stratman, sitting in for Brooke Hash today. Now, many of the holiday events are already underway, or they're planned for a little bit later on tonight. So we want to go ahead and start with our very own meteorologist, Matt Breland, who's forecasting what is going to be a pretty nice 4th of July for everybody, Matt.
Pretty nice indeed, Jim. Yeah, if you don't mind temperatures in the lower 90s, it's going to feel very much like the 4th of July. I mean, after all, you want the 4th of July to be a little hot, right? Temperatures will be in the lower 90s if you're headed out to the waterfront park for all the celebrating there. Keep in mind, it's just going to be a hot afternoon. Temperatures will be staying in the lower 90s throughout the course of the afternoon time. Closer to the evening, we'll start seeing those temperatures make their way into the 80s, and by firework time, 85 degrees, a little bit of a breeze, but continuing to stay dry and quiet. Not that many clouds out there as well, so it's going to be perfect viewing for the fireworks. You'll notice our sky is right now seeing just a few of those fair weather clouds. Temperatures right at 90 degrees, winds out of the southeast at 7 miles per hour. Humidity a bit lower though, not feeling terribly muggy out there. Temperatures across the rest of us are seeing temperatures in those the upper 80s near Shepherdsville, 89 Seymour, Indiana, 86 for you folks near Litchfield, 86 for you guys near Lebanon. Satellite and radar continues to keep us quiet and dry. That pattern will still be lasting throughout the rest of the afternoon hours. Still going to be staying under quiet and calm conditions. So into the next upcoming hours, as I mentioned, you can expect those temperatures to stay in the lower 90s until we get closer to sunset. That's whenever we'll see those temperatures make their way into the 80s throughout the overnight time, with those clear skies continuing. We're going to see those winds continue to gradually transition to be out of the south. That will bring in more humidity that will be carrying over into our Saturday. Saturday afternoon is really shaping up to be a muggy afternoon for us. So we're going to have all the breakdown all about what you can expect for your Saturday and Sunday forecast coming up here in just a few short minutes. Jim?
Much, Matt. New at noon, Metro Police have made arrests in an April homicide following a standoff in the Jacobs neighborhood. Metro Police say it happened as officers tried to make multiple arrests at the same time. One person, Maurice Hurd, was taken into custody on Esquire Alley around 4:30 yesterday afternoon. As that happened, officers also stopped a car on Lentz and Strader Avenues. The two men in the car refused to come out, but after a 30-minute standoff, they surrendered and were taken into custody. Hurd and Joseph Coggins are facing murder and other charges. The third man is facing drug charges and resisting arrest. The defense has rested its case in the trial of Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson, both charged in the death of Crystal Rogers. For the first time, we learned what was found during a major FBI search 4 years ago. WHAS11's Alexander Goldberg and photojournalist Aspen Hester have those details.
Ending the week with only 2 final witnesses for the defense for Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson have rested their case. Thursday marks 10 years since Crystal Rogers vanished. The defense leaving the jury over the holiday weekend with their argument. There's no evidence that Houck or Lawson had anything to do with it. Former detective and police expert Denver Butler testifies about one discovery from 2021. Investigators found a pair of women's underwear underneath a driveway in the Woodlawn Springs subdivision. That's where Houck's company has constructed several homes. But it came back from DNA testing with no DNA profile, no evidence connecting it to Crystal Rogers. The former detective also testifying that there's no trace evidence in Houck's home, his truck, nor his brother Nick's police cruiser. And there's no evidence to be found in multiple searches across the Houck family farm. Quote, the theory is that she was murdered there. And in my experience with homicide cases is that homicides leave trace evidence. He says like bodily fluids or blood. Special prosecutor Shane Young asking, quote, is it possible to kill someone without leaving bodily fluids? The witness answers, yes. But in the case of Crystal Rogers, quote, I think anything is possible, but it's highly unlikely. Another witness testifying that investigators used coercive tactics to gather information. Cognitive psychologist Jeffrey Neuschatz giving an example. He says in an interview Kentucky State Police conducted with the former Houck employee Charlie Girdley, investigators touched Girdley's shoulders and knees 50 times, saying this is wrong because investigators aren't supposed to act like a friend. Girdley testified for the prosecution earlier in the trial that Joseph Lawson told him he would, quote, pull her teeth and the hogs would do the rest. Neuschatz continues, saying statements made by investigators to Girdley, like, we can do a lot to help you, we want you on our team, aren't acceptable. Quote, they lead people to give statements that are in line with what they're being asked to do instead of what's accurate. Both defense counsels filed a motion for directed verdict, asking Judge Charles Sims to acquit the two men on trial based on lack of proof. Both motions were denied. Now the case moves to the jury to decide. In Bowling Green, Alexandra Goldberg, WHAS11 on your side.
To get you caught up on this last week of testimony, you can watch all of our nightly debriefs with Doug Proffitt, Shay McAllister, Alexandra Goldberg, and WHS11 legal analyst Nick Mudd. They're all in the WHS11 Plus app. You can download that app on your TV and watch for free. Louisville Metro Police are searching for a man they say fled a traffic stop and left his baby behind. Police posted this picture of Christopher Morris on social media. They say officers pulled him over on Wednesday for a traffic violation, but he drove off. The LMPD says that Morris later abandoned his car in Village West in the Russell neighborhood and ran away, leaving his 4-month-old child inside that car. EMS checked out the baby, who was then returned safely to a grandparent. Morris has multiple felony warrants for his arrest, including possession of a handgun by a convicted felon. Anyone with information is asked to call the LMPD's tip line at 574-LMPD. A big win for Oldham County residents who were fighting plans for a big data center. The company announced it was now going to be pulling its proposal. WHS11's Jose Alonso and photojournalist Levi Hammer show us why the company left town.
This rendering for a $6 billion hyperscale data center in Oldham County is now irrelevant. The company Western Hospitality Partners pulled their application to build in rural northern LaGrange.
This is a solid win for We Are Oldham County. This is a bipartisan group of concerned citizens.
Residents like Nathan Oberg, who live in the countryside of the city, made it clear from the get-go this project isn't the right neighbor. WHP did not give a specific reason for backing out, but did say they tried being open with the public about how this would bring in tax revenue.
You and I have a certain expectation to wake up in the morning, roll over and look outside and not see a Walgreens, because it's not zoned for it. Well, out here in Oldham County, we're going to roll over and look outside and see the Mall of America. It's just as outrageous.
According to the Oldham County government, this isn't the end. Judge Executive David Vogel says they're sticking with the 150-day moratorium to develop an ordinance regulating future data center investors.
At this point, I seriously doubt we'll have anybody that will be too interested in taking on Oldham County once they see what has happened here. I hope this resistance to this project doesn't spill over to other things that we have underway.
Judge Executive Vogel says ever since the 1970s, there's been a large tension within the community of not wanting to change anything at all versus seeking out those economic opportunities for growth. Another rural resident, Barry Laws, says this fight isn't over.
We have plenty of areas for economic growth. We have Oldham Reserve that's been sitting there almost empty for 15 years. So we've got the area. We welcome growth in the right place and the right type of growth. These things are behemoths.
The company released a statement saying in part, quote, while WHP currently has no plans to develop a data center in Oldham County, it emphasized that Kentucky remains a state full of opportunity and strong interest for future projects.
This entire episode has been very unfortunate for all of our community. It's caused, a great deal of angst, and I don't like that.
So investors beware. Locals want regulations before implementation. In LaGrange, Jose Alonso, WHAS11 on your side.
Earlier this week, the Oldham County Judge Executive fired his deputy judge who accused him of collusion with the company. David Vogel addressed this action, saying it's in the hands of the Kentucky Attorney General to investigate the claims.